This clip is part of the CycloZeal Library and is shared for educational purposes only.
Okay, let's dive into something that every single cyclist does, but, very few really master, shifting gears. Today, we're going to break down how to make every single shift feel smooth, efficient, and completely intentional. So let me ask you this. Think about your last ride. Did shifting feel totally natural, almost like an extension of your own body? Or were you kind of fighting your gears the whole time? You know the sounds I'm talking about, those loud clunks, the chain grinding, or that awful feeling of being stuck in the wrong gear at the worst possible time. If any of that sounds familiar, you are in the right place. And look, the stakes here are actually higher than you might think. On the one hand, if you're shifting incorrectly, you're looking at some pretty real consequences. We're talking unnecessary stress on your joints, burning out your muscles way faster, and just chewing through your expensive drivetrain. But get it right, and you unlock this whole other level of riding. You maintain your cadence, you control your effort, and you achieve this state of total efficiency. So let's get right into it, because really all of this, it boils down to one simple but incredibly powerful principle that I promise will change the way you ride. Here it is. If you take only one thing away today, let it be this. Your goal isn't to shift gears just to go faster. The real goal is to use your gears to keep your pedaling rhythm, that's your cadence, and your physical effort consistent, no matter what the road throws at you. Speed is the result of that consistency. It's not the reason for the shift itself. So with that golden rule locked in, how do we actually put it into practice? Let's start with the do's. These are the proactive habits that really separate an expert rider from everyone else. It really comes down to three core habits. First, you've got to shift early. The second you see a climb coming up, you shift before you're grinding your way up it. Don't wait for your legs to start screaming at you. Second, just as you shift, ease up on the pedals for a split second. A little less pressure lets the changes glide into place. And third, all of this, it's all about one thing, maintaining a smooth, consistent pedaling rhythm. Now this right here, this is the mental shift that changes everything. You have to stop thinking of your shifters as some kind of panic button you hit when things get tough. Instead, start seeing them as a strategic tool that you use to manage your entire ride. And this shows you exactly what that tool is for. Feeling tired? Shift to an easier gear to save your energy. You hit a brutal headwind. You shift down to maintain your cadence, not to fight for speed. Even the road surface, or just how long you plan to be out there. All of that should factor into your gear choices. It puts you in total control. All right, so we've covered what you should be doing. Now let's flip it and look at the don'ts. These are the really common and pretty costly errors that we need to get rid of. Okay, these are the two big ones. First, never ever shift while you're standing up and just mashing the pedals. That horrible crunch sound? Yeah, that's your drivetrain screaming in pain. It causes a huge amount of stress and wear. And second, don't wait until your pedaling slows to a crawl. Once your cadence drops that low, you're putting massive strain on your muscles, and it's so much harder to get your rhythm back. And here is a classic mistake, cross-chaining. This table shows it perfectly. Basically, when you're in the big chainring up front, stay away from the biggest cogs in the back. And when you're in the small chainring, stay away from the smallest cogs in back. Those extreme combinations put your chain at a really nasty angle, which kills your efficiency and just wears out your components like crazy. Okay, so we've got the principles and we know the pitfalls. Now let's talk about applying all this to the situations you face on every single ride. Your whole strategy has to change with the terrain. For climbs, just remember the rule, shift before you need to. On the flats, your job is to find that sweet spot, which for most people is around 80 to 90 RPM, and just make tiny adjustments to stay right there. And when you're dealing with headwinds or you're just getting tired, your number one priority is to shift down and protect that cadence to save energy. We all have to deal with traffic, right? The pro move here is to shift down into an easier gear as you're slowing down for a stop. That way, when the light turns green, you can start up again without wrecking your knees. Then you just smoothly shift back up as you get your rhythm going again. Simple. It's pretty much the same logic for cornering. Do all your shifting before you even enter the turn. Trying to shift while you're leaned over can really mess with the bike's balance. You want to get into the right gear ahead of time so you can just pedal out of the turn with smooth, controlled power. So after all the do's, the don'ts, and the real-world situations, what's the big idea? What's the core philosophy you should really take away from all this? The most crucial point is this. Intelligent shifting is not about raw speed. It's a holistic way to manage your ride. The best gear is whichever one lets you maintain your cadence, control your effort, preserve your joints, and just ride efficiently for a lot longer. It's really about being smarter, not just stronger. And that really leaves us with one final thought to take with you on your next ride. As you're rolling along and you see that hill coming up or that stoplight turns yellow, just ask yourself, is the shift you're about to make going to be a last-minute reaction, or is it going to be a deliberate, intelligent choice?